Hey everybody, welcome to No Bones About Wrestling. I'm your host Asa, and I'm here with Kay Fabulous.
Hey.
And this is your CM Punk and Friends report, otherwise known as AEW Collision. It was July 8th, 2023. It was live from Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. And this crowd was much better than last week's in Hamilton. That was a depressing show.
Mm-hmm.
The Hamilton.
Crowd-wise.
Crowd-wise. It was very dark because they hadn't sold many tickets. The arena was very dark.
Is that why it was so dark?
Yeah. Because they kept it dark because they didn't want to show you how empty the arena was. It was very quiet. The crowd sat on their hands. It was depressing.
Yeah, it was depressing.
It was a depressing representation of AEW.
And it was insulting to the performers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they were kicking ass. And
yeah, it wasn't depressing from the product wise. The product was just fine.
Just the
audience
crowd, reaction.
the audience, yeah. It was a depressing TV representation because of the crowd.
Yeah, and if you listen to our Collision show last week, we talked about whether this may be a pattern because of filming Ring of Honor prior to Collision, but I think that this week really showed us that no, it's not a pattern. Hamilton just sucked.
Yeah, because they filmed Ring of Honor before this Collision, and this Regina crowd was hot.
Yeah, they were pretty good.
So they were fine. So they did, to open up Collision, they do these quick little promos, like a 1-sentence, 2-sentence promos, which I kind of like.
I like them too.
Did one with Ricky Starks. Did one with Powerhouse Hobbs. They're both talking about how they're going to beat each other. Did one with Samoa Joe. Did one with CM Punk. They're talking about how they're beating each other. Of course, these are the 4 semifinalists in the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. CM Punk comes out to put over Samoa Joe. He talks about how he has missing teeth because of Joe. So I didn't know CM Punk had missing teeth. I wonder what teeth he's missing.
You haven't noticed? He's missing some of his, I don't know what they're called. I'm pointing to them so you can
incisors.
That's what I was going to guess they were called. Yeah, his incisors right here.
I had not noticed that. And he puts Owen Hart over, saying that a lot of the locker room wouldn't be there tonight without Owen. Which I'm not sure exactly what he meant about that.
I think he meant they inspired him.
Well, I think what he meant exactly was that Owen kind of opened the door for... And Owen wasn't undersized. Owen was a heavyweight wrestler. But he wasn't a big guy. He wasn't a muscle, jock. He wasn't Hulk Hogan. He wasn't Randy Savage. I mean, he had plenty of muscles, but he wasn't, bodybuilder. My point that I'm trying to make is that Owen Hart was, in his earlier years, and he went away from this, in his earlier years, he was a high flyer. And he was in a tag team with Coco Beware, the Birdman, called High Energy. And they were both high flyers. Very cool tag team. They were favorites of mine. And Owen Hart and his talents and his high-flying style kind of opened the eyes of people what it means to be a heavyweight and the ways that you could wrestle as a heavyweight. And even when he became a heel and feuded with his brother Brett, which one of the best wrestling feuds of all time, maybe my favorite wrestling feud of all time, because it gave us some damn good matches. Brett versus Owen Hart. You still saw him doing some of his high flying in with his technical ability. But just he and his brother both kind of redrew the map, if you will, on what it meant to be a heavyweight wrestler. So I think that's what Punk meant by a lot of the guys in the locker room wouldn't be there tonight without Owen.
Interesting. I took it as they were all kids watching pro wrestling, and Owen Hart is what made them want to be a pro wrestler.
I think he might have been it both ways.
Yeah.
Might have been it both ways.
Because Owen was one of your favorites when you were a kid, right?
He was, yes. Yeah. And in fact, actually, when I was a kid, I liked... At first, I liked the faces better, but then very quickly, I started liking the bad guys better. Because I realized it was way more fun to cheer for the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
I just found them more interesting, you know? So when in the Brett and Owen feud, I was on Owen's side.
Interesting.
But I was on his side because, honestly, I thought he was right. I thought that Brett... in short, they had a tag team title shot, and Owen was mad because he thought Brett should have tagged him in earlier, but he stayed in the match while he was hurt, and they ended up losing because of that. And I agreed with Owen. And that was how the whole feud began.
Yeah.
And after the match, Owen ended up attacking Brett. And that's how the feud began. Mm-hmm. That was at Royal Rumble 94.
I think you showed me that match.
Yeah. They lost to the Quebecers. They had a tag title match and lost to the Quebecers.
They're the ones that dressed like Mounties?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was totally on Owen's side in that feud. And loved it when he beat Brett at WrestleMania 10. One of the best WrestleMania matches ever. The best match at WrestleMania 10. It was the opener the night that Brett won his second world title, actually. And, of course, Owen beat Brett beat him the night he won his second world title. So Owen had plenty of an argument that he should be getting a shot at the world title because he beat Brett that very night.
So you prefer the Owen-Brett match that night to the Brett winning the title match?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. It was Brett versus Owen. I mean, they were two of the best WWF had, if not the two best WWF had.
Who was his title match against?
Yokozuna.
Oh, okay.
Which was still a very good match, but it was no Brett versus Owen, yeah. That was the match of the show. And that was on the same card as Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon, which a lot of people would call that the match of the night, but it was Brett versus Owen was definitely the match of the night over the Shawn versus Razor ladder match, I think.
This is WrestleMania 10?
Yeah.
Sounds like a good WrestleMania.
It was a damn good WrestleMania, yes.
We might have to watch that together.
No, it was a great show. Well, one of my favorite WrestleManias, but I'm biased. It was the first WrestleMania I actually saw live. So it was a good one to see live. Where were we? Oh, yeah, just talking about Owen Hart memories. So back to CM Punk putting over Owen Hart. And CM Punk puts over Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks. And CM Punk then goes and touches the Owen Hart Foundation trophy. And says, he doesn't think it's bad luck because he's going to earn it, he says. And he kisses the trophy on his way out.
Is that a thing in hockey? Like, you don't touch the Stanley Cup until you win it? Is that why he said that? Because he said, he prefaced it with, I know this is a hockey town, but that's I don't know anything about
Yeah,
hockey,
but I
really.
didn't know I didn't know you would get a
chance to touch
it beforehand, yeah. Next, we get a CM Punk Samoa Joe video package. They have fought, I believe, they said 3 times before, and Samoa Joe has won them all. CM Punk has never beaten Samoa Joe. And they tell us that about 578 times on this episode.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? Because I thought it was odd that they followed Punk in the ring with a Punk video promo. Do you think that the Punk in the ring was originally not scheduled, and when the women's match that was scheduled got canceled, they put him in there? So you think they plan to do back-to-back Punk Joe promos?
Yeah, it's CM Punk and Friends, yes. It was all planned. Okay. I think the plan almost every week is to start and end the show with CM Punk.
I know, but it seemed weird to have Punk in ring and then go from Punk in ring to Punk on video. It just seems like, and you had him right before that. So you started with Punk on video, you went to Punk in ring, and then you followed it with Punk on video.
It's CM Punk and Friends.
I mean, it's like a super scoop of CM Punk on
Yeah,
Friends.
that's what I'm saying.
Okay. I thought maybe it was like to help fill the time that women's match would have taken.
I don't think so. I think that was the plan.
Okay.
It's CM Punk and Friends.
Mm-hmm.
Up next, and I'm not complaining. I like CM Punk. I mean that as a fun joke, not a mean joke.
Yeah, I'm not complaining either. I just thought it was odd to do him live and then him on video.
Up next, we get a video recap of Powerhouse Hobbs beating Dustin Rhodes last week in the quarterfinals of the tournament, of the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. And that was actually the match of the week. We gave it. Very good match. But Powerhouse Hobbs overcame the old man, Dustin Rhodes. We then get a video recap of years back, Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks teaming together in Team Taz. They were tag partners, in fact. And Powerhouse Hobbs helped Ricky Starks win the FTW title. He won it from Brian Cage, wasn't it?
I totally forgot about that.
I think he did.
Yeah.
So Hobbs and Starks, facing off tonight, have quite a history with each other. And that is the first match, the Owen Hart Foundation semifinal. Powerhouse Hobbs, accompanied by all the QTV folks, QT Marshall, what's her name?
Aaron Solo and Harley Quinn. Or not Harley Quinn, Harley Cameron.
Harley Cameron, yes. Not Harley Quinn. She's not real. And they take on, Hobbs takes on Ricky Starks. Starks clotheslines Hobbs to the outside. Hobbs wears Starks down with punches in the corner. Delayed vertical suplex back in the ring by Hobbs. Hobbs Irish whips Starks into the corner, and QT Marshall then chokes out Starks. Backbreaker by Hobbs. He throws Starks' neck across the ropes. Starks fights back with some punches. Hobbs destroys Starks in the corner with repeated clotheslines. Starks powerbombs Hobbs off the middle rope for 2. Starks botches a tornado DDT, tries to get his footing on the rope several times, can't, but they went through with the move. It looked very sloppy. Marshall then trips Starks, so several times cheating in this match from QT Marshall. Hobbs hits a big spine buster, covers Starks, does not get the pin, gets a 2. Hobbs is mad at QT, he covers Starks. The ref is distracted with QT Marshall. Hobbs is then mad at QT. Starks gets up, pushes Hobbs into Marshall, who is on the apron. Starks then spears Hobbs and pins him. And Ricky Starks gets what I would consider an upset win over Powerhouse Hobbs. Yeah. Hobbs had only lost one match this year before this match, and had a couple, or it had one TNT title reign this year. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Starks wins, and he is in the Owen Hart Foundation final match. This match I gave, it was a good match. I gave it 3.5 bones out of 5. Kay, what do you have to say about Hobbs versus Starks?
I thought Hobbs sort of dominated early on, which to me is a sign usually that person is not going to win. Not always, but I feel like AEW does that a lot, where they'll have like the person who's heavy-handed early on be the person who's ultimately going to lose the match. I'm going to start looking and seeing if I notice a pattern where that is the case, because that's the feeling I got from watching the match. Which leads me to believe that maybe that's a pattern that they've fallen into that they should try and get out of. I thought the crowd was great during this match. I was curious as to why FTR wasn't out there early on, especially since Hobbs had 3 people with him, because FTR and CM Punk and Starks have been buds.
Palling around.
Yeah, and so I thought maybe FTR would be out there to act as, like, crowd control, I guess. But then, because of the end of the match, I've realized that's why they weren't there, was so that this all could transpire.
Yeah, nobody came to regulate QTV people.
Yeah. Which was a little bit odd.
Notable by his absence was the newly acquired Johnny TV.
Yeah, well, they did have that. I guess that's later. I forget. Yeah. Yeah, I thought this was good. I thought it was a good match. I don't have a ton of notes that you haven't already said. Except that at one point when Hobbs, or when Ricky went for a pin and got a 2 count, when Hobbs kicked out, Ricky, like, literally, like, flew off of him. He kicked out so hard. Like, it wasn't just, like, a pop in the air. It was, like, a pop in the air and then, like, 2 feet flying backwards. That's how hard Hobbs kicked out, which I appreciated. Yeah, I thought it was a good match to start out with. And like you said, a very surprising win for me, anyway. I was pretty shocked. I expected Hobbs to win.
Yeah, we both had predicted... Well, we had picked this tournament from the beginning, and we both had picked every match correctly from the beginning, except this one. We both had picked Hobbs to beat Starks here. Post-match, Hobbs is pissed. He pushes QT Marshall down. Aaron Solo comes in. He gets spine-bustered. Harley Cameron comes in, cowering over QT. And perhaps Harley Cameron... standing over QT is perhaps the only reason that Hobbs doesn't further destroy QT Marshall.
Do you think this is the end of their friendship, or do you think this is just a hiccup in the road?
It seemed like the end to me.
That's what I think too.
But they did just add someone to the stable, Johnny TV, again, to mention him again.
Well, maybe they added them because they knew they were going to lose Hobbs.
And then you have Harley Cameron with her deal going on with the Acclaim. I mean, it seems like this faction is staying together, but this segment very much made it seem like an ending. So QTV may be splitting with Hobbs, but I think QTV is staying together.
Yeah, that's the impression that I got.
So, yeah. We then get a Miro promo. Miro says, "Nobody can hurt a man who has nothing left to love." And basically says that he is unstoppable. He says, even the temptations brought about by his hot, double-jointed wife can't make him stray from his path.
That's some determination right there.
That is some determination, yeah. These Miro promos are... The way he just sneaks that shit in is hilarious. He is a funny guy.
And in case you're not aware, his wife is Lana from WWE.
Yes.
Who we haven't seen in WWE.
We can confirm she is hot.
Yes.
I cannot confirm. I've not seen the double jointedness, but she is definitely very hot.
Yeah, she's very attractive.
Super duper hot. But yeah, these Miro promos are funny. But yeah, he is.
I have a question about the Miro promos because like they're funny. But I also, at the same time, like, don't get them. Like, he's abandoned his god, he's abandoned his wife, he's abandoned his gold, which I'm assuming is the belt, right? And he's very driven now. But towards what? Like,
kicking ass.
So he doesn't care about the belt anymore, because he's made that pretty clear. He only cares about destroying people.
I think he doesn't care about the TNT belt.
Is that the belt he had? Oh, yeah, that's the belt he had. Okay, so you think he's eventually building to a run at the heavyweight championship?
I mean, yeah, in a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's in the picture, in the immediate picture here, no.
But that's the point.
They have so many guys in AEW.
Yeah.
and only one big belt. That's what makes the belt so valuable.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Which I think you just answered the question I was like 3 seconds away from asking, but you don't think they need to add another big belt?
I don't. You know, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if they did, because they have 2 shows where they said there wasn't going to be a roster split, but there is very much a roster split.
Mm-hmm.
They said there wasn't going to be a quote-unquote hard roster split, but there very much is a roster split. Like, you know, we're not seeing CM Punk and FTR on Collision. We're not seeing Hobbs and Miro.
You mean on Dynamite?
Yeah. We're not seeing Miro, etc. on Dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
We're not seeing Andrade on Dynamite. We're not seeing Bullet Club Gold on Dynamite. We're not seeing the Bucks and Omega on Collision.
Well, I think what he said was that there wasn't going to be a hard roster split, meaning there are going to be some people who are on just certain shows,
Right?
But there's going to be others with the ability to do either. And
my point is that when it almost feels like 2 separate universes.
mm-hmm.
So a second high, you know, a world title wouldn't be totally unwelcome.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't be out of place or out of the question.
Yeah. What's interesting, though, is we have seen MJF defend his belts on both shows. So he's one of those floaters.
True. Yeah, true.
It'll be interesting to see how long they can survive with just one belt, though. One big belt, you know, and have the show.
I mean, they've been fine so far.
Yeah. When it's only episode 4.
I mean, and again, I'm not saying I'm for 2 world titles, because I'm not. I'm for them keeping one. I'm just saying it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
To have 2, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But I feel that having one just makes it all the more important.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have 2 undercard titles. We have the TNT title and the international title for guys to chase.
Mm-hmm.
And 3, and the FTW title for guys to chase. So we have 3 undercard titles. So do we need another world title to make 5 singles titles? I don't think so.
Yeah.
And again, that's what makes the world title so valuable in AEW, is that there's only one, and only the top guys get to hold it, and their reigns are pretty lengthy, or at least they're of a respectable length, unless there's an injury or something.
Yeah.
So you ask me, the AEW world title is it's pretty valuable. You know, it's hard. You can't say it's more valuable than the WWE title, because let's face it, it's not. Just in a business sense, it's not. But in all things being equal, in my perception, it's more valuable than the WWE title, if that makes any sense. If you forget the fact
history.
that WWE has higher ratings, does more business, has a 40-year history, you forget all of that, take all that aside, and you just think about the roster, the matches, and the champions. What's more valuable, the WWE or the AEW title? I say the AEW title.
I do too, without question. I care about the AEW title.
But of course, right. But,
I don't care about the WWE
But of
title.
course, things don't exist in a vacuum.
Yeah.
So the WWE title is unquestionably more valuable than the AEW title in reality. That's just the way it is.
I don't live in reality.
Yeah, that's just the way it is. To answer your question, these Miro promos, he's just talking about kicking ass.
So all he wants to do is fight. He doesn't care what it's for.
Right now, yeah.
Right now.
Since he's not anywhere close to the world title picture, all he wants to do is beat people up, which seems to be a good a good motivation for right now. He's not in contention. He could win any of those undercard titles any day, but he has no interest in them. So he just wants to fight right now. So it's good enough motivation. And he keeps doing these funny promos about how he has nothing to lose because he doesn't care about anything. And he keeps saying the same thing, but in different ways. And they're funny, so keep it going, why not? We then have Willow Nightingale, with who lost her New Japan Strong title to Julia, who is a star with the Stardom. Isn't that what it's called? Stardom?
Stardom, yeah. Not Julia Hart.
No, Julia. Just Julia. One name. Who is a star with the Stardom promotion. Willow Nightingale, beltless now, does a promo on Ring of Honor World Women's Champion Athena. So it turns out Willow was injured and she is not cleared to wrestle tonight. So Willow and Athena, their Owen Hart tournament semifinal match is rescheduled for Rampage on Friday. Willow also, she wants a shot at Athena's Ring of Honor Women's World title. And Athena says if Willow beats her on Rampage, she'll entertain that. So that sucks. I was looking forward to this match.
I know, me too. Plus, like, Willow pointed out, like, she was going to get to wrestle on Collision for the first time, which is kind of a big deal, you know? And then now she's just going to be on Rampage again.
And it would have been Athena's first time in Collision.
Yeah, that's true.
So next we have a Blood and Guts video promo. Of course, that is going to be the Blackpool Combat Club versus the Elite coming up July 19th. Then we have the replacement match. At one point, we thought there were going to be 2 women's matches, and we were very excited, but no. There's just one. We get a replacement women's match. Julia Hart of the House of Black, and she is accompanied by 1/3 of the World Trios champions, Brody King of the House of Black. Julia Hart versus Bambi Hall.
Wah, wah.
Hall looked good here, actually, for as short as this match was. She looked good. Hall gets tripped, gets her face slammed into the mat. Hart with an Irish whip hits Hall with a shoulder tackle. And you got to work harder than that to make me believe that Hart takes down Hall with a shoulder tackle.
I wrote down the same thing. I said shoulder takedown from Hart. What?
Hall weighs at least twice what Hart does.
Yeah.
Hart then puts on the Heartless Lock for the submission victory. This was a squash match. I don't rate squash matches. But Julia Hart looked okay. Hall looked good for being a jobber. It was solid. I wish they had given him some time. You know, it sucks to only have one women's match and have it be a squash. That sucks.
Yeah, a super short squash.
Yeah. That sucks.
It's like you were going to give us Athena and Willow.
Right.
Which was going to be good. And possibly awesome.
Yeah.
And instead we get this.
The glaring weakness with AEW is their women's division.
Yeah.
They've got to, 1, sign more women. 2, give the women more and better opportunities.
Yeah, and I know I've said this before, so I don't want to beat a dead horse, but they have better women's matches on Ring of Honor. They're bringing all these women in from other promotions for Ring of Honor matches. Why are they not doing that for AEW? Ring of Honor, you get at least 2 women's matches every episode, and they're good. And they have all these other women coming in, and they're not just squashing them, you know? I mean, they're getting, actual matches. I don't know. It just makes me angry, especially when you bring Trish Adora in, and then you just squash her on AEW for her, AEW debut. I'm still very bitter about that, and I will remain bitter. But I just feel like you have these women that you know about, obviously, because you're using them on this other promotion that you have. Why are you not utilizing them? Like, it makes me disappointed in Tony Khan as a booker.
Mm-hmm. Now again, it is tough because, of course, it is a business and he is trying to get ratings. And so when you have all these, bullets in your chamber, you got CM Punk, you got Miro, you got Malachi Black, you've got, you fucking name it, you got Andrade, you got all these guys. He's got a powerful roster. You got Bryan Danielson, you name it, you got a powerful roster. We've talked about it before. It's hard to justify, I'll sacrifice. Miro doesn't get a match tonight, so we'll put on a second women's match with a woman that no one's ever heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm trying to get the ratings up.
So put her in a match with someone people have heard of before. Miro's getting matches with people no one's heard of before. We know Anthony Henry because he was on Ring of Honor, and we watched Ring of Honor, but we know by their numbers most people don't watch Ring of Honor. So presumably most people don't know who he is, but they put him with Miro.
People do know and care who Miro is.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. So introduce these women by putting them in matches with people they do care about. So put someone that no one's ever heard of, but put them with Shida, or Tony Storm, or Dr. Britt Baker.
I hear you, but what I'm talking about is having, for instance, a second women's match.
Yeah.
It's hard for him to say, I'm going to leave Miro off the show so I can have a second women's match.
Well, he just needs to decide, if he wants a women's division or not. You can't have a respectable women's division if you're not going to give them time. And if that's the case, then just don't have a women's division.
Very good point.
It's disrespectful to them as athletes to give them so little time and to put so little thought into their matches and, frankly, into their storylines.
It's a very good point. You were right. You were right.
And I'm not arguing that he should get rid of the women's division. I'm arguing that he needs to give them more time and put more thought into what's happening with their stories.
Yeah, no, I cannot argue because I would. As our listeners know, I would. But I can't argue with you. You are right. Right on. I agree completely. Tony Khan is doing the viewers a disservice and is doing the women wrestlers a disservice with the women's division. It's the weakest point of AEW. And frankly, it's the only part of AEW that disappoints me.
It's the only thing that I prefer in WWE over AEW is their women's division.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Out of every aspect of every show, that is the only thing I think that WWE does better, in my opinion. I know that's not true for everyone. But for me, AEW is perfect except for how they treat their women's division.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you. It is frustrating. It is. It definitely is. Hopefully that's something they'll remedy. It would be nice to see, I'm one of those, I think, and it might be too much wrestling, but I say give them a women's only show in addition, and it might be too much wrestling on. They already have 3 shows on.
I cannot disagree with you more.
But keep them on the show, but also do a women's only show. Keep them on the shows they're already on, but also do a women's only show.
Why not just add an hour to an existing show and somewhere within that hour put another women's match? Having a women's only show with a not strong women's division is just a recipe for disaster.
This is after, obviously would be after signing more women.
But if it's women that people don't know yet, you have to build them first. If they sign a bunch of people from Stardom that are fucking amazing, that's great, but no one's going to tune into an all-women show based on the women on their current roster and people that they've not heard of, even if they're fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So they would need to do like a shit ton of legwork first before they could even consider that.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that there doesn't need to be a women's only show the same way there doesn't need to be a men's only show. You know, I think that it's important to highlight both.
Well, but but at the end of the day, let's be honest, in the men's wrestling, I'm not saying it's better, it's worse, whatever. It's more of a draw than women's wrestling.
Exactly, which is why that won't work.
It's more of a draw. So that's why we have way more men's matches than women.
Mm-hmm.
Women's matches. But if you have an all-women show, you can allow the women to be a draw. You don't have to. You still have the 1 or 2 women's matches per show. You know, hopefully 2. Bring it up to 2. But then you still have. Then you have a women's only show where you allow them to be a draw. And then you're not changing the formula. You're not forcing it down people's throats. You're allowing them to tune in because they want to tune in. You're not forcing it down people's throats and saying, "Oh, we're making it even," when obviously the viewers don't want an even number of men and women's matches. I'll be honest, I don't. You know, I like men's wrestling more than women's. At the end of the day.
Yeah. So would you turn in? I mean, obviously we do a wrestling podcast.
Of course I would.
So
of course I would tune into an all-women show. Of course.
Knowing the time constraints we have on our lives because of the amount of wrestling we currently watch, I find that hard to believe that if there was a all-women's wrestling show that we weren't reporting on,
yeah, of
that
course
you would
I
still
would
make
watch
an effort to watch it every week.
Of course I would watch it. Yeah. Without question.
Interesting.
Without question, I would watch it.
I find that hard to believe.
No. Oh, no. I would be so interested in seeing it. Yeah.
But I don't think you're the norm. Like, I mean, it's kind of like what we talked about. Like, women's matches used to be... I can't believe that
you can't believe I would watch that.
I'm thinking of, like, the current women's roster in AEW, and I probably shouldn't. Because, like, you're probably also thinking about, like, the women of WWE and, like, their level of wrestling. But I don't think that that's necessarily the level of wrestling we would get should AEW put on an all-women's show.
Well, you would sign women from Mexico, from Japan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And get a quality roster.
Yeah.
From America's independent scene as well.
Mm-hmm.
And get a better roster.
Yeah.
Whereas AEW has some good women. Ruby Soho, Toni Storm, Hikaru Shida,
Thunder Rosa,
Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, etc.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a good foundation.
Mm-hmm.
They just need some more gals.
Yeah.
But no, I would totally watch a women's only show. Yeah.
But do you think most wrestling fans would? Like, I still think
yes.
that people treat the women's matches as bathroom matches. Not in WWE so
now,
much.
people might have treated this one, Julia Hart versus Bambi Hall. Yeah, that's your bathroom match.
Yeah.
Because it's a squash match.
Yeah, it's a jobber.
Not because it's a women's match, but because it's a squash match. But do I think the women's match is automatically the bathroom match anymore? I don't think so. I think some people still feel that way. Do I think a majority of wrestling fans do? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I disagree, but hopefully you're right.
A lot do.
Right,
sure.
Yeah.
A lot do. Sure.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the majority though. I don't think it's the majority.
Well, cool. That gives me hope for the future.
Anyways, we could talk about this all day.
I just want to throw this out there. If you want to support women's wrestling and try and encourage Tony Khan to put them on the roster more frequently, buy women's wrestlers merchandise. Throw your money at them, and they will see that that is something that the fans like and care about, and hopefully that will inspire him to feature them more heavily.
if you really, really want to support women's wrestling, go to your local independent wrestling shows and buy those women's merchandise also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you can, go on the social media of those independent federations and let them know that you came to see the women and you want to see women's wrestling at independent wrestling shows.
Preach.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Malachi Black is on, and he claims, I'm gonna say this way shorter than he did. He had an excellent promo here. I'm gonna say this way more simply than he did too. He claims he's trying to teach Andrade El Idolo how to leave his mask behind. He says he stole his mask because he is helping Andrade unlock his full potential. And he feels as though Andrade was using this symbolic mask as a crutch. This ceremonial mask is some sort of crutch he was clinging to, and something. Now, I don't get what the fuck he means by that. How this mask was holding Andrade back in any way. But Malachi Black convinced me of it until I gave it any thought. But in while he was speaking, he convinced me of it. So his promo was very good. His point made no sense though at all. Andrade El Idolo then comes on and says that his mask. This is a separate promo. They're not together. Andrade says that his mask represents his bond to his culture. He says that it's more than simply a mask to him, and he will get it back. And so this, I wonder if we are headed towards Andrade versus Malachi at All In. Is it All In at Wembley?
Yeah.
It's All In, not All Out. All In.
I was pretty sure it was All In until you said that, but I'm pretty sure it's All In.
So one thing, I wonder if we're headed towards Andrade versus Malachi at All In. And one thing I want to point out real quick is All In, we don't have it's not been announced how we see this yet.
That's because we always see it the same way. It's always on Fight TV. That's the only place they ever have
but
it.
they tell you. When there's a
They do when
pay-per-view,
it's coming up.
When there's a pay-per-view, they tell you, buy it here, buy it there. This All In, they've been talking about and hyping, and they say All In with Wembley, this and that. They don't say anything about what channel it's on, where to buy it, if you can buy it, if you can watch it. There have been no specifics about even if you can watch it. Now, I think we'll be able to watch it somehow, but I just find it odd that it's July 8th, 9th now, and this is August 27th. There's no plan on how we watch this thing.
It's because they want you to buy tickets to the show. So, like, if
they've already sold 75,000, I think they're good.
No, but I think they want to try and sell out.
I think they're fine.
No, but I'm saying, like,
they're okay.
If they're like, hey, we have this awesome show at Wembley, but don't worry, you don't have to go. You can just watch it here on Fight TV.
I think they're satisfied with the ticket sales.
But if they get to 80,000, that sounds even better. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
God in heaven.
Like they want to sell out so they can be like, we sold out fucking Wembley.
I think they're fine.
I mean, I think they're fine too, but I think that their goal is to sell as many tickets as possible. I think any wrestling promotion, that's their goal.
Yeah, but in America, they're not trying to sell us tickets, so they haven't even said, like, can we watch it on TNT? Can we watch it on TBS? What's going on?
I've seen a lot of people on Twitter that bought tickets that live in America going to England to go to
I wanted to go, and you said we couldn't go, so...
Yeah, we're poor. Sorry.
August 27th, what is that, a Saturday?
I have no idea. Probably Saturday or Sunday.
Let's see.
I think that a lot of their ticket sales are probably coming from people outside of England, don't you? Like that are flying to England.
It's a Sunday.
Okay. But still, don't you think a lot of them?
I do. I mean, it's going to be a big show. It's going to be the biggest show AEW's ever put on. I mean, holy shit. Yeah.
What's amazing is they've sold all these tickets and no matches have been announced.
Forget about no matches. Not even one who's there. One wrestler hasn't even been announced as being featured.
I mean, if you assume the wrestlers on the posters are going to be there, that's already looking like a pretty good show. But you don't know who they're wrestling. All
right. Up next, we got AEW World Tag Team Title Eliminator Match. And with this, so we got the champions, FTR, taking on Bullet Club Gold members, Switchblade Jay White and Juice Robinson. And so the Eliminator match, what this means is if FTR win, Jay White and Juice Robinson cannot get a title shot while FTR have the belts.
I love that stipulation.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
If White and Robinson beat the champions, it means they earn a title shot. So here, Dax Harwood grabs a headlock on Jay White. Hip toss, grabs him again for a headlock. White tags in Robinson. Wheeler tags in. Cash Wheeler, fireman's carry takeover on Juice Robinson. 2 tackles by Juice. Wheeler catches Juice with a monkey flip. And then it's a melee. Everyone's fighting. Double German suplexes, simultaneous German suplexes, I should say, by FTR. Wheeler with a drop toe hold. And Dax with an elbow drop on White. Harwood with chops in the corner. And we then break for a commercial. We come back, and Juice Irish whips Dax Harwood for the sternum to the turnbuckle spot, which is Bret Hart, classic Bret Hart. And they're in Regina. They're in Canada, which is, of course, Bret Hart country. And as you know, FTR love Bret Hart. But that getting Irish whipped and taking it full bore to the sternum is a Bret Hart spot. You know what I'm talking about?
I do not.
And looking like making it look painful is a Bret Hart spot.
Like Bret Hart used to do that move to people, or he used to be...
He used
that's how he
to
would take it.
Okay. He used to take it that way.
I did not know that FTR were big Bret Hart fans.
Oh, yeah. The big-time Bret Hart fans, yeah. FTR in control now. Wheeler with a high drop kick on Juice. Wheeler with an inverted atomic drop, and then 10 punches in the corner. White front suplexes Cash onto the announce table. Back in the ring, White rams Cash and shoulder blocks. White puts on a leg lock on Cash, and then spat on Dax. Gross.
He spat like a whole loogie. It wasn't just like spit.
Yeah, there was loogie in Dax's chest hair.
It was disgusting.
It was fucking disgusting.
And it was not the only loogie we were going to see tonight from Jay.
That is also
What is
true.
Up with that?
A lot of snot.
Oh my God.
A lot of snot from Jay White.
It's disgusting.
Jay White takes Cash back to the Bullet Club corner. Wheeler with a small package very quickly for 2. White suplexes Wheeler into the turnbuckles, gets a 2 count. Wheeler with a backdrop. That can't be right. Wheeler with a backdrop, I'm sorry. Wheeler takes on both men with a series of strikes before he's sent to the outside. Juice Robinson stretching Wheeler in the middle of the ring. Juice with a couple of punches, knocking Wheeler down. Harwood now grabs a small package on White for 2 count. Men trying to end the match now. Very good match. Men showing noticeable fatigue. A series of standing switches between White and Harwood. Harwood with a brain buster. Cash Wheeler drops Juice Robinson on his spine on the apron. Painful looking spot. Dax with a superplex, and Cash comes off with a splash. Get a 2 count. Sleeper suplex by White on Wheeler. Nice spot. FTR then hit a spike pile driver on White for a 2 count. White breaks out a fisherman's buster on Harwood for a 2 count. Harwood with a rebound powerbomb. He bounces White off of the ropes and then hits the powerbomb. Gets a 2 count on that. White hits a Blade Runner on Wheeler. White and Harwood exchange elbow strikes. Elbow strikes is what I meant to say. Juice with a front DDT on Dax gets the pin. 1, 2, 3, and the win. Juice Robinson and Switchblade Jay White win a hard-fought, excellent match. White and Robinson have earned a shot at the AEW World Tag Team titles next week on Collision. This match was excellent with a capital E. 4.5 bones out of 5. Just thoroughly good wrestling.
This was my match of the night.
Oh, this was the match of the night, unquestionably.
Yeah.
Kay, what do you have to say about this match?
I loved it. I loved the flow of the match. There was some good mat wrestling from Dax and Jay to start. I have really developed an appreciation for Juice Robinson. I love how vocal he is during his matches.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I noticed this time that I hadn't noticed in his previous matches, he's ambidextrous. Is he one of the only ambidextrous wrestlers?
Why do you say that?
He punches with his left hand and he chops with his right hand.
I think you'll find a lot of people do that. So if you watch, a lot of wrestlers chop with their right hand. When I say men, because men generally are the ones getting in fights. When you punch, you're jabbing with your left hand because you want to block with your right hand.
He's the only person I've ever noticed that punches with their left.
No, just watch next time.
Okay,
when you watch a match.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll...
Because I looked in this match, and he was the only one punching with his left hand out of these four men.
You put your left hand forward, and you have your right hand back to block, and then you jab with your left hand, and your right hand is back so that you can... Your right hand is back to block, and because you're stronger with your right hand, so you can throw more power punches, like a...
Learning something new, folks.
You know,
That's
you can get further
yeah.
back on your base and throw power punches with your right hand, and you jab with your left hand since it's not going to be as strong anyway.
Huh. Interesting. Well, I will keep an eye out for that in future matches with other wrestlers. But he was the only one in this match that was punching with his left.
No, there's no way that's true. He's the only one you noticed.
But I was looking for it.
I'm telling you, you're wrong.
Okay. The loogie part was gross. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about this. There were like 100 near falls, not literally, but it's what it felt like. And so by the end, every time they got a near fall, I was like, oh, this has to be it. And then it wasn't. I liked it. It was a good match. I think they got some extra time because of the women's match.
I'm sure this was already scheduled to go long.
I did too, but I think they got extra time. They had to put the time somewhere. Where do you think it went? It didn't go to that 10-second.
Hopefully to this match, yeah.
I think it went to this match.
This match was phenomenal. You know what? I said 4.5 bones, 5 bones. I don't know why. I just kind of defaulted to 4.5, but this I have nothing negative to say. It was excellent. 5 bones out of 5. It was terrific. Just an excellent display of tag team wrestling, back and forth. Excellent array of moves used by both teams. Excellent psychology used. You definitely could not tell who was going to win. I mean, I thought White and Robinson were going to win. Finally, someone won one of these Eliminator matches. Finally, a challenger won, one of these Eliminator matches. So you thought White and Robinson would win, but you weren't sure. But yeah, just a phenomenal match. I can't say enough good. If you missed Collision, if you only have time to watch a little of it, definitely watch this match. Definitely go back and watch this match because, holy cow, was it good.
I think that's the first 5-bone match you've given a Collision match.
I think that's probably true.
So that's not bad. What is this, the 4th episode?
I think this is the 3rd or 4th, yeah.
Yeah. pretty good.
So up next, we have promos from Christian and Shawn Spears. They are talking about the TNT title. Christian talking about how he earned it, which of course he did not. Luchasaurus is the TNT champion. A fact I keep forgetting, because Christian has kind of laid his claim to it. Shawn Spears talking about how he's turned over a new leaf, a new maple leaf, if you will, since he's Canadian. But he's turned over a new leaf and promised his child, he said, that they weren't going to see the mean, vindictive Shawn Spears anymore, but that Christian has brought it out of him. And we're going to see next Saturday, in fact, is Collision is on from 8 to 10, and then from 10 to 11, it's Battle of the Belts 7. And on Battle of the Belts 7, Luchasaurus will defend the TNT title against Shawn Spears. So that is the reason for this promo. Up next, Tony Schiavone is with FTR, coming off of this loss in the Eliminator match. And they are despondent. In come Juice Robinson and Jay White, and they are boasting and celebrating. And they come in and they say they're the best team in the world. And they challenge FTR. They're ready to cash in their title shot. And they challenge FTR for next week on Collision. Not only for next week, but they challenge FTR kind of for their bread and butter, going kind of old school with it. They challenge FTR to a 2 out of 3 falls match. Tag team matches very often in the past used to be 2 out of 3 falls match. Used to be 2 out of 3 falls. Very often were. And of course in Mexico still are most regularly 2 out of 3 falls. So man, if this match was great, next week on Collision we have at least 2 falls to look forward to of FTR versus Juice Robinson and Jay White. So we'll see another great one next week, I expect.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So when you say in Mexico it's like that, are you talking about just for tag team belts or for any belts? It's 2 out of 3 falls usually.
I was specifically talking about tag team matches, but in Mexico, a lot of matches are commonly 2 out of 3 falls.
Interesting.
I was talking about tag team because I was also talking about the past in America. But in Mexico, a lot of matches are commonly 2 out of 3 falls.
Oh, that's cool.
Because just it adds to the drama.
Yeah.
You know, you can just do more. You know, the face goes up 1 fall, and then the heel has to fight from under. The heel wins 1 fall. The face has to fight from under. They get tied up 1-1, and then it's a battle for the last fall. It's just one more
drama.
way to add drama to a match.
That's cool.
Than you have in 1 fall. So that's why they use that in Mexico.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they know what they're doing down in Mexico. That's for sure. Let's go back a couple segments, just real quick. Noteworthy by their absence this week were the Guns. You know, just last week they got added to, or they joined rather, Bullet Club Gold, and now this week their new mates have a big tag team match. They're not there to help them cheat, and they're not even seen in the afterwards for this. You know, while they're celebrating, challenging FTR, which you figure they'd at least be there to meet them and congratulate them after the win. They're not on the show at all. What's up with that?
Maybe they previously scheduled, like a scheduling conflict, you know, or something.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, it just struck me as odd.
Because, like, we saw them at an independent show somewhat recently, and that was on a Saturday, so it might be that they had scheduled out some commitments that they couldn't get out of.
That's true. That's true. It just struck me as odd, that's all.
Yeah, I agree.
Up next, we have Scorpio Sky in his return, taking on Action Andretti. The crowd reaction for Scorpio Sky, not what he was hoping for.
Not what I was hoping for.
Not what anyone was hoping for. There was almost no reaction.
There were like literally 3 people clapping.
And I think some of that has to do with fans don't know if he's a face or a heel. Because when we last saw him, he was a heel, right? With Dan Lambert and Ethan Page. But we've seen these segments on AEW Collision kind of building him up as a face, right?
Yeah.
Talking about how he's inspirational and this and that, and, so I think the fans just didn't know how to take him.
Well, and he's facing a face.
Exactly, and he's facing Action Andretti. So I think the fans were just kind of confused and didn't know what to make of him.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, that was my first note. Scorpio, heel or face, ?
But you would think he would at least get some kind of welcome back applause, but he got none.
Yeah.
He got nothing, no reaction, which that's not good for him.
No.
But starting off here, Sky trips up Andretti. Andretti puts on a wrist lock. Sky tosses Andretti over. Arm drag by Andretti. Stomp by Scorpio Sky. Sky with a headlock. Andretti hits a Spanish fly. Andretti with a pump kick, then a shotgun drop kick. Andretti goes for a pin for 2. Scorpio hits a TKO and pins Andretti. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Very short match. Gave it 3 bones out of 5. There wasn't a whole lot to it. After the match, Scorpio helps up Andretti and shakes his hand. The fans applaud that. So I guess Scorpio Sky's a face. Before the match, he was posing in the ring and making mean faces. So we thought he was a heel.
Yeah.
But I guess he's a face? I don't know. I still don't know what to make of him.
My last note is face, ? Tell me what to think.
Yeah. So what do you have to say about this match?
There was a nice Spanish fly from Action Andretti with a little bit of an awkward landing, but the Spanish fly itself was good. And there were good kicks from both men. The match was very short, so those are my only notes.
Action Andretti looked good.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
That's my biggest takeaway from Scorpio Sky's return.
Yeah.
Which is not good for Scorpio Sky.
No.
My biggest takeaway is Action Andretti looked pretty good.
Yeah.
So Scorpio Sky's back. He has no heat, and he has no direction and no motivation.
Yeah, I kind of wish they were doing him versus Christian and Luchasaurus instead of Sean Spears. I feel
That's
like
a good suggestion.
A better storyline for him.
Yeah. That's a good suggestion. Thanks. I like Sean Spears in that role, though, because I like Spears. He has something. Not the 10 shit. Not the fucking 10 shit. I hate.
Yeah,
I hated it when he was Ty Dillinger in WWE. I hated that.
I love how much you hate it.
All right, so I'm going to go over real quick a bunch of upcoming matches. July 12th, Dynamite, this coming Wednesday. Blind Eliminator Tag Team Tournament for the number 1 contender. We have the semifinals. International Champion Orange Cassidy teams up with Darby Allin. They face Jericho Appreciation Society members Sammy Guevara and Daniel Garcia. In the other semifinal, World Champion MJF teams up with Adam Cole. I love that pairing. And they're facing Big Bill and 1/3 of the Ring of Honor 6-man tag champions, Brian Cage. Member of the Mogul Embassy is Cage. In the Owen Hart Foundation women's semifinal match, Ruby Soho of the Outcasts faces Sky Blue. Swerve Strickland faces 18-year-old Nick Wayne in his AEW debut. And the Lucha sensation, one of my favorites, Commander, takes on Chris Jericho. Sounds like a fucking awesome Dynamite.
Yeah, it does.
Sounds great. Rampage on Friday. We have one match. The other Owen Hart women's semifinal. Ring of Honor Women's World Champion Athena faces Willow Nightingale. For next week's Collision, the Owen Hart Foundation Tournament Women's Final, and also the Men's Final, which will pit Ricky Starks against the winner of Samoa Joe and CM Punk. And then, of course, the World Tag Team title, 2 out of 3 falls match, FTR defend their belts against Jay White and Juice Robinson. And I bet we will see the Guns around for that match.
That's a big Collision.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, that sounds like a pay-per-view.
I hope they keep that up for when we go.
Yeah.
Like, that's a stacked card.
Mm-hmm.
This whole week is looking good.
Yeah. AEW's on a fucking roll, I tell you. It's a good time to be an AEW fan.
And that's the 200th episode of Dynamite, correct? Or is that the week after?
I do not know.
I think they said this week's Rampage was episode 100, and next week's Dynamite was episode 200. I could be mistaken.
I'm not sure. And lastly, July 19th, Dynamite, big one. One of my favorite things AEW does, Blood and Guts, which is, of course, their version of War Games. Take 5 men, take 2 rings, I should say take 5 men per team, take 2 rings, put a steel cage around it all, let them fight. What could be better? You have Team Blackpool Combat Club, which will be Jon Moxley, Konosuke Takeshita, Ring of Honor World Champion Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and a 5th man, which I have heard rumored to be CM Punk. Now, that's just a rumor. I don't know what truth there is. That's just a rumor on the internet. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening, but that's been the rumor in recent days. We also have Team Elite, which will be Hangman Adam Page, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and a 5th man, which is heavily rumored to be Kota Ibushi, I believe is his name. I could be wrong about that. I think that's his name. Let me check. Never mind. I realized that would take me longer than... I think that's his name. Kota Ibushi, I think is his name. Either way, Blood and Guts is going to be good. I don't see CM Punk being involved in that match. That would be just jamming him in there. I don't see any purpose in that.
It would make no sense. For a million reasons, it would make no sense.
Next, we see Samoa Joe pacing backstage. And then we see CM Punk taping up in the locker room, readying for their main event match. And now we have the Owen Hart Foundation Tournament semifinal to find out who faces Ricky Starks next week on Collision. We have the Ring of Honor World Television Champion Samoa Joe taking on CM Punk. And of course, Joe's title is not on the line here. To start with, Joe tries a kick that would have killed Punk. Would have literally killed him, I think. They go for a test of strength. Punk kicks it away, kicks the hand away. Punk with a couple chops and a headlock. He backs Joe into a corner for some punches. Joe backs Punk into a corner with some punches. Joe with an Irish whip and a back elbow. Joe knocks Punk off the turnbuckle to the outside. Joe stalks to the outside with some chops. Back inside, a running knee to the face by Punk. A running knee to the face by Joe on Punk. Punk with a clothesline off the apron and to the floor on Joe. Back inside the ring, Joe is wrenching Punk's neck. And Punk is bleeding from the mouth a bit. Might have been from that high knee, I think.
Yeah.
Punk with a running knee of his own in the corner. It is here that Joe puts Punk in a sleeper. Punk gets out of it with a backdrop. Punk with another 3 running knees in the corner. Punk then hits a top rope elbow drop. Did not look good, I hate to say. He landed on his feet way before he landed the elbow drop. But Punk hits the top rope elbow drop and gets a 2 count out of that. Punk calls for go to sleep and gets Joe up, but Joe wriggles out and puts Punk in a crossface hold. Punk reaches the ropes. We have a series of reversals. Punk off the ropes, snap power slam by Joe, gets a 2 count. Punk with a kick to the head for a 2 count. Punk climbs to the top. Joe grabs him down. Swinging neckbreaker by Punk. He goes for a GTS. It's reversed into a choke by Joe. And that's reversed into a victory roll for Punk. 1, 2, 3 count out of nowhere with a victory roll. CM Punk picks up the win. He advances to the Owen Hart Foundation tournament final against Ricky Starks. After the match, the 2 men shake hands, believe it or not. And then Joe grabs Punk in the coquina clutch. And he puts out Punk. And Joe then goes to the outside of the ring. And he's not done. Last week we saw him send off Roderick Strong in a stretcher. So he goes to the outside, does Joe. He grabs a steel chair. But here come the World Tag Team Champs, FTR. They come down. And then Starks also comes out to stare at Punk. And they... So Starks doesn't really come out. You know, FTR, Starks, and Punk have been palling around here on Collision since it began. But Starks doesn't come to CM Punk's aid as a friend. He comes out to stare him down more as a rival. These two, I look forward to their meeting in the tournament final next week on Collision. This match was a good one. 4 bones out of 5. Good match. Kay, what do you have to say about CM Punk versus Samoa Joe?
First of all, that kick from Joe, that roundhouse kick, like,
to open,
just missed. Yeah, CM Punk was fucking crazy. Like,
yeah, it had
it looked
some
like
speed on it.
Yeah, it looked like it could like cut a coconut in half. It was so fast and so strong. At one point, Joe chopped Punk so hard that just a spray, like a mist of sweat, came off of him from the force of the impact. It was pretty awesome looking. Super painful looking. When Punk breaks the chokehold that Joe has on him with the backdrop, why doesn't just everyone do that? Like, it seemed like a really good, easy way to get out of a chokehold. Like, is it just not, like, is it something special about the way he did it that made it successful, whereas when others try, it is not? Like, why doesn't just everyone do that?
Well, just positioning.
Okay.
Just something about the way their bodies were positioned.
Okay.
That allowed Punk to do so.
Yeah, he just made it look so easy that I was like, why doesn't everyone just get out of this that way? There were some good set of double knee strikes from Punk. And then Joe's face after losing was great. Joe's facial expressions are some of my favorite. And his face after losing was, like, priceless. I like Joe a lot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Always good. So this week's Collision, another good show.
Mm-hmm.
CM Punk and friends. They are building something pretty good here on Saturday nights, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
The ratings have not been great for them.
I saw that they're, when you include the DVR, like the 3-day DVR numbers, their numbers look a lot better.
Oh, I mean, they're good. They're not, like, awful.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good. They're in the top of the cable rankings.
Mm-hmm.
But just, they're not, like, ruling the world with the rank, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the rankings are terrible, because they're not. I mean, they're in the top cable programming.
Mm-hmm.
They're just maybe not what AEW hoped for.
Yeah.
They're not on the optimistic side of the rankings, but they are still good. But yeah, good show. Let me just look through, see if there's anything we missed, see if there's anything I wanted to note real quick here. Anything you want to say? No?
I feel like we've covered it. I wanted to talk about the women's division, and we did that.
We did, yeah. The House of Black have been absent.
Well, we had a Julia Hart match.
Well, I mean the men. We saw Buddy Matthews have a match several weeks ago. We saw Brody King have a match. Each of them faced Andrade several weeks ago. And we've not seen the trio, the House of Black, together.
They did a video promo together last week about one of them taking the mask.
I mean in the ring.
Oh, in the ring.
I want to see these guys wrestle.
Yeah, I wonder if Malachi Black has an injury or something, because he's the only one we haven't seen other than on video.
I don't know. Well, we've not seen them in the ring. And also on Collision, we've not seen trios, period. It's not... we saw maybe Punk and FTR have a match. But aside from that, we've not had a lot of trios action. But your trios champions are on Collision, so that seems strange. We don't have any trios forming. We have CMFTR.
We saw the Acclaimed, not this week, but
that's Dynamite.
Oh, okay.
On Collision, we have the trios champions, but no trios teams. And so the reason I say they're on Collision, aside from the fact that they're on Collision, we see them on Collision. But the reason I say they're on this show, something came out where Malachi Black said he met with Tony Khan, and he said he wanted the House of Black to just be on Collision because he didn't want to give the viewer a choice. He said, you put us on Dynamite, you put us on Rampage, you put us on Collision, then the viewer thinks, oh, I can just tune in anytime and see them. So the same way you can tune in anytime and see them, the same way you can just miss any show. It makes any show seem missable because you can always catch the next one. But if you just put them on one show, it's like, oh, I want to see them, I've got to watch this show.
That's smart.
Which makes a lot of sense, yeah. And that is what Malachi Black said to Tony Khan. So that is apparently why the House of Black are on Collision. And that being said, let's see some trios teams. I'm not sure why we don't have any. We have CMFTR. There's one. It would be nice to see them, hopefully Bullet Club Gold, Robinson and White are going to win the tag titles next week. Let's see CMFTR go for the belts, but then let's see some teams challenge them. Do you have any ideas for any trios teams you'd like to see?
I mean, out of the people that are currently on Collision,
no. Can you think of any?
I mean, Action Andretti is in a tag partnership.
They'd have to bring some people over to Collision, wouldn't they?
Yeah, he's with Darius Martin on Ring of Honor, and I know Top Flight used to sometimes wrestle with AR Fox, so maybe AR Fox, Darius Martin, and Action Andretti could be a trios team.
How about Scorpio Sky being a leader? How about Scorpio Sky with Andretti and someone?
That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Maybe Darius Martin.
Scorpio Sky over.
Yeah. What about have Scorpio Sky as a leader with a couple of the guys who are a little younger than he? Darius Martin and Action Andretti.
And they would put high flyers on the show again. This was our first week having somewhat high flyers and in the ring.
Yeah, that's something I had commented on Collision. It had been purposeful, it seemed. No high flyers. And this week we got Action Andretti.
Yeah.
He didn't do a lot of high flying, but he was on the show.
He did a bit.
He did a little. I mean, it was a short match.
Yeah.
But he was on the show. But still, we've not seen that high flying style is not a thing on Collision.
Yeah.
Because he didn't do any high flying, did he? What did he do? He didn't do any
I
high
don't remember. It was
flying.
such a short match.
Let's see.
I think we would remember.
No,
if he had.
no, he didn't. No, he didn't do any high. He did a Spanish fly.
That was it.
He didn't do any like top rope moves or anything.
All right.
So that style is not something that is featured on Collision. Just period. And we've had enough shows now where we can say it's purposeful.
Well, then I guess Top Flight shouldn't be on, or Darius Martin shouldn't be a trios team there.
Well, but it should be like it should be that's an interesting thing. Like, why don't you think if you're AEW, fans love guys flipping around, but they have definitely. This is definitely not the guys flipping around show. That's Dynamite.
Maybe they're trying to appeal more to the WWE crowd.
I don't know.
I can think of.
I don't know. But this is a Collision is definitely not the flippy show.
And it definitely has like a different flavor than Dynamite, you know? Like,
yeah.
It feels different. Not in a bad way, or in a good way, just different.
Well, I prefer Dynamite, honestly. They're both great shows, and it's nothing against Collision. But because of that, and that's the main reason, I prefer Dynamite. Because you get all the styles on Collision, and also you get high flyers. So I prefer Dynamite.
I don't know if I have a preference yet. I think we need some more episodes before
I definitely prefer Dynamite. Really? You don't prefer Dynamite because of the high flyers?
I like the feel
as opposed to a show
Collision more. Like the overall energy of it. I like more.
How so? Can you verbalize that some?
I don't know. I think it's just because it's new. Like, it feels like there's a world of possibilities and so many directions that things can go in. Where Dynamite, it's not formulaic, but it feels somewhat patterned. Like, I know you're going to disagree with me. I'm tired of the Elite and
I knew you were going to say that.
Feud.
I knew you were going to say that.
I'm so tired of it, and like it's such a big part of the show.
We are so lucky to be alive and be wrestling fans.
Oh, I'm not
in the time of the Elite versus the Blackpool Combat Club feud and see all these fantastic matches. And I mean,
I'm not ungrateful, but you asked me why it has a different feel, and that's why it has a different feel.
Mix them up anyway. Mix the Elite and the Blackpool Combat Club up anyway. Tag teams, trios, 5-on-5, blood and guts, singles matches. Mix them up anyway. Give me that feud forever.
It's like the Bloodline. It's good, but it's been going on for a long time. Like, I'm ready for them to feature another storyline.
Well, it's good.
What
Blood and Guts is over.
Storyline
it's
is
gonna
happening?
be over.
You know, like prominent storyline.
The House of Black stole Andrade's mask.
Okay, but that's on Collision. I'm talking about on Dynamite.
On Dynamite? That's not on my mind right now. I couldn't tell you.
That's because there isn't any other prominent storyline.
I couldn't tell you.
They got the women, the Outcasts versus the homegrown.
The Outcasts versus
it.
the homegrown women. What belts do they have? TNT. You got Christian pretending to be TNT champion.
That just started. That's been like 2 episodes.
Well, you asked,
and that was on Collision, not on Dynamite.
But no, it's on Dynamite too.
Okay, but
Christian pretending to be TNT champion.
Yeah. But I'm just saying,
Orange Cassidy persevering through injury.
I will give you that one for sure.
And keeping on with his international title reign. You got the acclaimed weird feud with Harley Cameron. Whatever's going on there.
QTV is on Collision.
No, they had their feud versus Harley Cameron. She was on Dynamite telling them how she's going to deliver a video.
Oh, okay.
So I'm naming several things.
That's on both shows, though.
But that happened on Dynamite.
Okay, but and the Christian thing is also on both shows.
You're asking me what was on Dynamite.
Okay,
I'm telling you.
talking about Dynamite exclusive is what I'm talking about.
I'm telling you what happened on Dynamite.
Orange Cassidy. I'll give you that. And then the Outcasts, I'll give them that. I don't know, I just feel like it's fresh. There's like a million different directions they can go in, so it has a newer, fresher feel. It seems more hopeful.
the announcing needs to change.
Oh my God, yes.
I don't like Kevin Kelly.
Me either. I feel bad not
and
liking
people
him.
like him on the internet. They seem to.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like him 20 years ago in the WWE. I don't like him now.
Yeah.
I don't care for him. Yeah, I don't care for him. I don't care for his style. I don't know why people like him. As an announcer, this is not a judgment on him as a person. I have, obviously, it's nothing personal. Just as an announcer, I don't like him. The other guy, what's his name?
Nigel McGuinness.
Yeah, he's fine. He's okay. He's okay.
But again,
they could put somebody else in there.
When you have,
or go better than okay.
When you have Ian
Put
Riccaboni
Taz.
and Caprice Coleman,
yeah,
on your payroll.
Taz. Well, you could have Taz. You could have Chris Jericho. You got Tony Schiavone. You got Jim Ross. I mean, you got a ton of people.
I think they're trying to make the shows feel different with a different announce team.
Yeah,
but if you're gonna pull Nigel McGuinness from Ring of Honor to do this, why not pull the best announce team you got to do this?
I agree.
Know?
Oh, I agree. Pull Ian Riccaboni.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Ian Riccaboni, Caprice Coleman.
Yeah.
They're like the best.
I think. I don't see, and they're already there.
They're already there that
doing
night.
Ring of Honor. Well, that would be a lot of work for them to announce for 4 hours. That's a lot.
So have one of them. Let's alternate, okay? Like one of them does Ring of Honor and Collision one night. The next one does Ring of Honor and Collision the other night, and then the other one just does Collision. And then you can put Nigel McGuinness back on Ring of Honor.
It seems very complicated. I did not follow that.
Oh.
Anyways, but yeah, the announcing needs to change. I feel like most people seem happy with the announcing. I'm not. It needs to change.
Yeah.
It's not good.
No, it's not good.
It is not good. It's not a good representation of the product. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's not exciting.
Yeah, it doesn't enhance or add anything to the matches.
Right, it's
which
just
I feel
there.
Which they're announcing on all their shows adds something to watching the matches.
Yeah, I mean, Excalibur's great.
Yeah.
Excalibur's great. And who is it on Rampage? Was it Jericho? And
I think it's Jericho, Schiavone.
Excalibur? Is it Excalibur?
I don't remember.
I don't know. Whoever it is, it's good. On Rampage, it's good. But yeah, the Collision announcing has to change. Anyways, that's enough thoughts from us. Folks, you can hear from us again Thursday. Our Dynamite report always comes out on Thursday, and our Collision reports always come out on Sunday. Wherever you listen to podcasts, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss us. We have, and of course we do pay-per-view reports for WWE and Ring of Honor. There's a AAA pay-per-view coming up. We may do that one. No? Robin Kay is shaking her head no. So never mind. We're not doing that.
We might live tweet it.
Why don't you want to do it?
Because I don't want to butcher everyone's names that I don't know because it's not in a promotion that we watch regularly. So I know like none of the people except for Kenny Omega and Vikingo and Penta.
That's it.
Oh, and QT Marshall is in it. So there are 4 names that I can say. We
may do something about it.
May do something about it.
Oh, okay. All right. I may do something about it. I'm going to do something about it. Anyways, wherever you listen to podcasts, subscribe so you don't miss any of our episodes. Also, check us out on YouTube. We have some videos on there of AEW Elite Crate. We have me opening a bunch of packs of AEW trading cards. We have more YouTube videos to come. This week, I will be reviewing the AEW Fight Forever video game. I think I'm actually going to review that today. Record the review, at least, today. Should be up tomorrow. Either today or tomorrow should be up. So also, wherever you listen to podcasts, please make sure to rate us. Give us 5 bones. Give us 5 stars. 10, whatever the highest they'll let you give us. Give us that. helps us find new fans, and then we can all talk about wrestling together, and it'll be a beautiful world. And folks, thank you for listening, and as Mick Foley would say, have a nice day. Bye.